My fiancé's family psychic said I was bad energy and demanded I pay for an expensive cleansing ritual. I agreed, but then I brought in my own spiritual advisor, who declared our union catastrophic for me. I called off the wedding, blaming the universe. And then I, 29 male, was supposed to marry Cassandra, 27, next month. Her family had always been intense about their spiritual beliefs. Crystal healing, moon water, sage burning, the whole 9 yards. I'm not judging, everyone needs something to believe in. But 3 weeks ago, they crossed a line that opened my eyes to something way darker. Cassandra's mom, Dolores, insisted we meet with their family spiritual advisor before the wedding. She called her Madame Celestine. This woman supposedly guided their family through all major life decisions for the past 15 years. We drove to this lady's house, a normal suburban home, drowning in wind chimes and those reflective garden balls. Inside looked like a New Age store exploded. The smell of incense was suffocating. Madame Celestine took one look at me and gasped. Like hand to chest, pearls clutching, gasped. Oh my, oh dear, the darkness, it's overwhelming. Cassandra squeezed my hand. What do you mean? Your fiancé carries a terrible energy, a curse perhaps from a past life. It will destroy your family's spiritual harmony. I sat there thinking this was some kind of joke. It wasn't. Dolores immediately started panicking. I knew something was off. Remember the wine glass that broke at dinner last month? And how their cat hissed at him? The cat hissed because I accidentally stepped on its tail, but okay. Madame Celestine circled me, waving her hands around like she was swatting invisible flies. The wedding cannot proceed unless we perform a complete spiritual cleansing. It's extensive work, dangerous for me. Here it comes, I thought. The ritual requires specific materials: blessed candles from Peru, purified salts from the Dead Sea, protection crystals that must be charged under 3 full moons, plus my time and energy, $8,500. I almost laughed, but then I saw Cassandra's face. She was buying it. Every single word. We need to do this, she said. For our future. Cass, that's almost $9,000 for some candles and salt. Dolores jumped in. If you truly love my daughter, you wouldn't put a price on her spiritual safety. Cassandra's sister, Theodora, yes, really, chimed in. Maybe the bad energy is why you're being so resistant. The darkness doesn't want to be cleansed. They all stared at me. Cassandra had tears in her eyes. Please, baby, if you love me. And that's when something clicked. This wasn't the first time money had come up with her family. There was the investment opportunity in Dolores's friend's essential oil business, $3,000. The emergency loan for Theodora's healing retreat certification, $2,200. The special crystals Cassandra absolutely needed for Mercury retrograde, $500. I'd been getting fleeced for 2 years. You know what? You're right. Let's do the cleansing. They all looked shocked that I agreed so easily. But, I continued, I want to bring my own spiritual advisor too, for a second opinion. That's reasonable, right? They couldn't really say no without looking suspicious. 2 days later, I brought Jerome. Jerome was my college roommate who did community theater. Dude could have been on Broadway if he hadn't become an accountant. I paid him $200 to put on the performance of his lifetime. He showed up in this flowing purple robe thing we bought from a costume shop, carrying a briefcase full of random rocks from my garden and dollar store candles. I introduced him as Master Aurelius, a spiritual counselor who studied under Tibetan monks. The second Jerome walked into Madame Celestine's house, he froze. His eyes went wide, then wider. Then he started backing away. No, I cannot. What's wrong? Dolores asked, suddenly nervous. Jerome pointed at Cassandra with a shaking hand. The spiritual discord, it's catastrophic, this union. He pulled out a compass, my actual camping compass, and it spun wildly, magnets hidden in his sleeve. She will drain his life force completely within 3 years, maybe less. Cassandra went pale. That's not true. Madame Celestine, tell him. But here's the beautiful part. What could she say? If she denied it, she'd be admitting the whole thing was BS. Madame Celestine just stood there, trapped. Jerome pulled me aside dramatically. You must leave. Now. Every moment you stay connected to this family damages your aura further. I've seen men reduced to empty husks. I turned to Cassandra, trying to look devastated. I can't risk it. The universe has spoken through 2 advisors now. We can't fight fate. But the cleansing ritual won't work, Jerome interrupted. The incompatibility is too severe, like mixing bleach and ammonia. Separately they're fine, together they're toxic. I left that day. Blocked Cassandra on everything, citing spiritual protection as recommended by Master Aurelius. The meltdown was epic. Update 1. Holy crap, you guys were right about extinction burst being a real thing. So after I blocked Cassandra everywhere, the texts to my friends started. She was worried about my mental health and thought I was being manipulated by a false prophet. But it got better. Dolores showed up at my work. Security had to escort her out. She was screaming about how I was spiritually attacking her daughter, and she brought sage to burn in our lobby. The receptionist, Bethany, told me she actually lit it before security arrived. Set off the smoke alarms. The entire building had to evacuate. My boss called me in. I explained everything, showed him the texts demanding $8,500 for the cleansing. He actually laughed. My ex-wife fell for something similar. Cost me 15 grand for chakra realignment. Good for you for getting out. Then Theodora started leaving reviews on my company's Google page from different accounts, all claiming I had dark energy that made their services spiritually compromised. One literally said, "The accountant Jordan brings evil spirits to the workplace. I could feel them through the phone." Our IT guy, Raj, figured out they were all coming from the same IP address. We sent a cease and desist. But here's where it gets good. Jerome, still living his best life as Master Aurelius, got a call from Madame Celestine. She wanted to discuss our different readings. Translation: she was panicking about losing a cash cow family. Jerome recorded the whole call. Legal in our state. She offered to split future cleansing fees if he'd reverse his reading. 50%. She literally said, these people are good for at least $30,000 a year between the three of them. 30,000 a year. I'd been dating Cassandra for 2 years. They'd extracted over 60 calories from these people and were planning to milk me for God knows how much after the wedding. Jerome sent me the recording. I now had evidence of fraud. But wait, there's more. Cassandra's dad, Richard, who'd been mysteriously quiet through all this, called me from his office. Turns out he doesn't buy any of the spiritual stuff but goes along to keep peace. He wanted to meet for coffee. Jordan, I need you to know something. The money you gave them never went to retreats or emergencies. Dolores has been funding Celestine's lifestyle. They're involved. Involved? Celestine and my wife. It's been going on for years. The spiritual advisor thing is just cover. Theodora knows. Cassandra doesn't. My jaw hit the floor. He'd been funding his wife's affair through fake spiritual services. Why are you telling me this? Because you did what I couldn't. You got out. And maybe this will help me finally leave too. He gave me bank statements, screenshots, everything. The Peruvian blessed candles, ordered from Amazon. The Dead Sea salts. Morton's kosher salt repackaged. The retreat Theodora went to, a cruise with her boyfriend. I had enough evidence to bury them. Update 2. The universe really does work in mysterious ways, guys. So I sat on all that evidence for a few days trying to decide what to do. Then Cassandra made the decision for me. She started a GoFund, just kidding. She did something worse. She contacted my mother, told her I was having a spiritual crisis and needed an intervention. That I joined a cult, literally called Jerome's one-time performance a cult. My sweet, 65-year-old mother was in tears when she called me. Jordan, honey, Cassandra says you've fallen in with some dangerous people. She's so worried. She loves you so much. That's when I decided to go nuclear. First, I sent Richard's evidence to a lawyer friend who specializes in fraud cases. She said it was definitely actionable, especially the recorded call about the 30-calorie annual extraction. Then, I did something petty but beautiful. I created my own spiritual advisory page on Facebook. Posted all about how Master Aurelius had saved me from a spiritually toxic situation. How he'd detected financial vampirism disguised as false enlightenment. But here's the kicker. I tagged every single person who'd ever commented on Dolores's spiritual posts. Every person from their meditation groups. Everyone from Madame Celestine's client list, found through some mutual friends who'd also been scammed. Then I posted the Amazon receipts for the blessed candles. The salt container comparison photos. Everything except the affair stuff. I'm petty, not cruel to innocent parties. The page got 500 shares in 2 days. Madame Celestine's other clients started demanding refunds. One guy, Marcus, commented that he'd paid $12,000 for a generational curse removal that was supposed to help his business. His business went bankrupt 6 months later. Then Dolores tried damage control. She went live on Facebook, crying about how I was spreading darkness and attacking divine truth. But she made a mistake. She went live from Celestine's house. Richard was supposed to be at a work conference. He wasn't. He was parked outside watching his wife's location. He walked in during the live stream. You could hear everything. So this is where the spiritual emergencies happen? In her bedroom? The live cut off, but not before 200+ people heard it. The fallout was immediate. Cassandra called me sobbing. Not about us, about her mom. She'd finally put the pieces together. All those overnight meditation retreats, the spiritual bonding sessions she was never allowed to attend. You knew, didn't you? When Jerome did his reading, you knew about Mom. I found out after, Cass. Your dad told me. I gave her everything, every bonus, every tax return for her spiritual journey. It was all lies? The cognitive dissonance was brutal to hear. But then she said something that reminded me why I left. This is your fault. If you'd just done the cleansing ritual, none of this would have happened. You manifested this negativity. Even faced with evidence of years of fraud, she was still blaming me. I hung up. But the universe wasn't done yet. Turns out Madame Celestine wasn't just scamming spiritual services. She hadn't been paying taxes on her donations for spiritual guidance. Someone, definitely not me, definitely not Richard, may have forwarded all those bank statements to the IRS. Last I heard, she's under investigation for tax evasion on about $300,000 of unreported income over 5 years. Update 3. This will probably be my final update because I'm ready to move on. But you all deserve to know how this cosmic comedy ended. Richard filed for divorce. He's using the fraud evidence to argue that Dolores misappropriated marital funds. His lawyer thinks he'll get the house and majority of assets since there's proof she gave away hundreds of thousands to her affair partner under false pretenses. But Dolores didn't go quietly. She tried to countersue, claiming Richard was spiritually abusive by not believing in her practices. Her lawyer dropped her when she insisted on bringing Madame Celestine as her spiritual expert witness, while Celestine was under IRS investigation for fraud. The judge's face, according to Richard's lawyer, was professionally neutral but humanly exhausted. Theodora picked a side, money's side. She testified against her mother in exchange for Richard not pursuing the $20,000 she'd taken for various emergencies. Threw Dolores under the entire bus, claiming she'd been brainwashed and financially manipulated by a trusted parent. The betrayal broke something in Dolores. She went on another Facebook Live, but this time from her car, ranting about ungrateful children and fake shamans. She accidentally admitted to knowing Celestine was overcharging clients and taking a cut. I deserved that money. Do you know how hard it is to be spiritually gifted in a materialistic world? The universe owed me. Someone screen recorded it. It has 2.8 million views on TikTok now. The comments are brutal. But here's the real karma. Cassandra reached out last week, not to apologize or reconcile. She wanted to know if I still had Jerome's contact. Why? I need a real spiritual advisor, someone authentic. The energy in my life is all wrong now. I told her Master Aurelius had returned to Tibet for silent meditation, permanently. She then asked if I knew any other spiritual advisors. The lack of self-awareness is astronomical. I blocked her again. Jerome, meanwhile, has been getting actual requests for spiritual consultations. He's referring them all to legitimate therapists. We joke about starting Master Aurelius merch, but honestly, the whole thing exhausted both of us. Richard sent me a thank you card with a $5,000 check. I tried to refuse, but he insisted. You saved me from probably another 20 years of funding my wife's affair. Consider it a fraction of what you saved me. I donated it to an actual charity that helps fraud victims. Dolores now lives with her mother. Theodora moved to another state for a fresh start, aka nobody there knows about the viral video. Cassandra quit her job to become a life coach focused on spiritual awakening through betrayal. She has 3 clients. They're all her friends who feel bad for her. Madame Celestine pled guilty to tax evasion and got 2 years probation plus massive fines. Her house is in foreclosure. She started a new business doing tarot readings at the local flea market. Richard sends me photos sometimes of her setup, between the knockoff purse stand and the guy selling definitely real Rolexes. As for me, I'm dating Adrienne from my hiking group. She's an engineer who calls crystals rocks and thinks sage smells like burned socks. When I told her this whole story on our third date, she laughed so hard she snorted wine out her nose. Wait, so you paid your roommate to destroy your engagement? That's the most beautifully petty thing I've ever heard. She insisted on meeting Jerome. They're friends now. She calls him Master Aurelius when he's being dramatic about his coffee order. Some nights I think about what would have happened if I'd just paid the $8,500. Would I have eventually discovered the affair? Would I have been funding Dolores's deception for years like Richard? Would Cassandra have ever seen the truth? Then I remember that text she sent after everything imploded. You destroyed my family with your negative energy. Madame Celestine was right about you. Even after everything, the fraud, the lies, the affair, the IRS investigation, I'm still the villain in her story, the dark energy that corrupted her perfect spiritual family. You know what? I'm okay with that. Better to be the villain who escaped than the hero who pays $8,500 for candles from Amazon. The universe works in mysterious ways indeed. Sometimes it works through a theater kid with a compass and magnets up his sleeve. Master Aurelius sends his blessings to all of you. May your auras stay bright and your families stay away from fake psychics.